We are back for another episode of Dolphin Tales. Zooming in from the West Coast is a women's soccer alum, Kristen Holstrom. Kristen, how you doing?
I am great. Good morning or afternoon, I guess, depending on what coast you're on. But thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on. And you've been paying attention to some of the recent episodes we put out, some people that we went through university together with. So I figured it's time to bring you on and talk about what you're doing and catch up. So appreciate you taking some time, and let's dive right into it. So I guess I'll let you talk about what you're doing and maybe just give a little bit of an introduction of who you are and what you're currently doing.
Sure, Pat. Well, thanks for having me. And I absolutely love what you're doing. I love listening to stories and the success of old classmates, teammates that I've had over the years. I love hearing everyone's success and learning about their families. You know, with social media now, we're all so connected, but I love listening and I just love catching up. It's crazy how small the world gets now with how we're able to communicate so directly with social media and DMs and podcasts. So thank you for doing what you do. I really enjoy it. A little about me. When I graduated from Jacksonville University in 2003, I immediately went back to California to start law school. And that was the beginning of my legal journey. I have now been an attorney for a little over 10 years. I am a certified family law specialist. I am a mom of 3. And I am a partner at Holstrom Block and Park, which is a law firm that I manage and run with my dad and a couple other partners. And recently I created and founded another brand called Custody Queens, which is a subdivision of our firm. And it focuses more on the child custody cases within the family law arena of law. Being a mom and kind of just who I am and my passion, that is what I like investing my time and spending. I mean, the kids are our future. And I really like to educate people, parents, on how to be a better co-parenter and how to stay out of the courtroom, which is kind of funny coming from an attorney. But I just seeing what this process does to kids and to families, I really like to educate and to train and to coach parents on how to resolve issues outside of the courtroom with my assistants. And I have a radio show on Go Country, which you can stream live, which is a weekly radio show where I talk about life. I don't take myself too seriously, being a mom of 3 under 6. I talk about stories of diaper changes that I was not expected for, and going to court with, a little bit of extra accessories on me sometimes, or, how my kids kind of are teaching me things these days, and a little bit of family law, but that's kind of what I'm up to these days.
Wow. All right. Well, with the radio show, you should be right at home with this. I feel like you should be in my seat doing this because, you've got all the experience.
Yeah, I do have a little, it kind of funny. We just started it in August of 2020. And I remember thinking when they called me to ask me if I wanted a show, this is so easy. I talk for a living, and I remember when they put that headset on me the first day and it was like nothing was coming out. I kept cursing on the show. I kept having to pause it. And it definitely takes practice. So I'm getting more comfortable, but it's a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go. I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job of keeping this university appropriate, and we tell stories, which we'll get to about our time there. We've done a pretty good job of keeping it university appropriate. Yeah, exactly. And we had the same thing. We came up with the idea for this show pre-COVID. It was February of 2020. Decided to do it, and then COVID hit, and so we had to do a lot of the same thing, just jumping in and figuring out Zoom and doing what we've done. But we're back on campus. But the beauty of, us having a little bit of that time is to be able to bring people like you in, and, people that can't necessarily travel all the way across the country to come back on campus. So let's start there if we can, sort of all the way back. So you're from Southern California originally. Talk about the process of becoming aware of Jacksonville University. What helped you make the decision to go there and play for the soccer program?
So back at rewind to my senior year of high school, I had in my head, and had pretty good discussions with some local schools, and I guess a pre-commitment, you could say, as much as you can in high school. And I had a pretty devastating injury my senior year. I had torn some ligaments in my hip area during a pretty big tournament where most of the scouts were there. And that definitely set me back. And obviously the schools that I were interested in are very well-known schools, and that's a recurring injury and something the schools that I were looking at weren't really interested in pursuing because they have a lot of attention out here. And so with that said, I went to a junior college called Cypress Community College here in California for my first year because I really didn't have a backup plan at that point. And I knew I wanted to play soccer. That was not an option for me. And so I played there. We ended up winning the National Junior College Championship for the country that year. So I had a lot of scouts. And Michael Jackson at the time, Mike Jackson was our coach. And he somehow had gotten interest of me, and we were corresponding. I had sent him a tape which was homemade with my dad literally video, doing the video camera on the shoulder, and I was juggling, and he got some action of me playing, and we sent that over to JU. And I went on 5 recruiting trips, and I had 5 full ride offers to Division I schools. And I remember we looked at Radford University in Virginia, which was a beautiful campus. And they had given me every dollar that they could, which was quite a bit. And my dad, I remember we went out to dinner that night. My dad had come with me. And so he was asking, what's around. It was snowing when we went. And, the coach had said, well, there's a super Walmart a couple miles away, but the nearest mall is about 40 miles. And my dad kind of looked at me and said, you will never make it here. My California daughter. She loves the beach. She loves shopping. And I went to Colorado. I went to Florida. I went to University of Nebraska. I had, went on these recruiting trips, and we decided that Jackson, we were thinking obviously academics. I loved JU's, the small school. I always tell people that they took roll call where I went to college. I don't know if that's still the case, but we were only allowed to miss, I think, 2 classes. We were Division I, but you still had the small campus vibe. And so that we were looking at all the aspects, and obviously we're on the St. Johns River. Jacksonville was a big city. We had a lot of places to travel to. And, my family and I kind of decided that was the closest to Orange County, California that was on the table, and that I was going to make it 4 years there. So that's how I ended up there.
That's a pretty impressive story. So it's the Orange County of Florida. There you go. I've never heard that. I've heard Harvard of the South is what they told me when I was coming in. So it was like the academics were so high. So, it's just another way to talk about Jacksonville.
Yeah. And when you actually Google, Orange County, there is the Orange County, Florida. So sometimes I do get calls for people looking for an attorney in Orange County, Florida. It's kind of funny. I'm like, no, I did spend a few years there, but I'm not licensed there.
That's funny. So let's talk a little bit about your time once you got to the university, your time playing with the teams. I know you had some pretty good teams that you played with, some unbelievable individuals as well that have, we're talking to or have talked to already, people that are on the all-decade team, and just a lot of success once you got here. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about your time within the program?
So my time at JU was probably the 3 years that I was there, because I'd already played a year, was the most incredible 3 years. I always talk to my daughter about it and tell her, because she just she just made her first club team at almost 7. And I was watching her run around for her first pizza party. And it literally, I got a little teary-eyed over there in the corner, because my time at JU I have nothing but fond memories. I had some of the best teammates, and I made such a good group of friends, not even just amazing athletes. I mean, we played against Stanford. We played against University of Florida. We played against FSU. I think Abby Wambach was there for a couple of the games. I always tell everyone that story. I played against Abby Wambach. Definitely ages us now. But everyone's like, really? And she was twice the size of me. And I remember playing center mid, and she was pulling my shirt going, I'm half the size of you. But it is so cool watching people that we played against, at the level that they were playing. But I have so many friends. We had Baby Di, Little Di, Vanessa. I still call your wife Baby Di. It's kind of funny, how long we've been out of college now? 17 years, give or take.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, we had Hani, who was one of my best friends in college. But we had such a good group of people that I will forever, Brooke was one of my roommates. I love following everybody, but not only did we have such an amazing team, we just had such an incredible chemistry off the field as well. The road trips, I'll never forget those long bus rides with hurricanes and trying to detour out of the route with the hurricane. And, we got to go to Nashville and the Grand Ole Opry for a tournament to play against Bellevue. Just I could go on and on. I always say I wish I could go back to college for a month. I don't think I could hang longer than that, but I would like a month.
It's we obviously doing the show and just living in town, we get to go back, and we actually took my 3 kids about a month ago to watch a men's soccer game, just being back at Southern Oak and me being able to go back to baseball. It's just it's just this thing where it brings up so many emotions of, and fond memories and things like that. And it's funny you talk about Di. So I was telling my wife, who played with Kristen, Baby Di, as they once called her. I don't think they do much anymore. Babies having babies. But I was telling Di that I was going to be talking to you today. And, I said, so what should we be talking about? I know you probably got some good stories, and there's things I know about you.
Remember, it's PG. It's PG.
It's PG, but I think the one thing I wanted to hit on was the motivational aspect that you would bring to the team with your Britney Spears routine.
I knew you were going to say that.
And I also heard something about Sonic the Hedgehog. So if you want to just go ahead, I'll leave that open for you.
So yes, sometimes we would let loose during off season, of course. And I was a huge Britney Spears fan. I'm still a huge Britney Spears fan. I'm part of the, hoping for the Free Britney movement. But yes, I knew her Baby Hit Me One More Time dance by heart. And, a couple drinks in, and I would, definitely get on the table and do some Britney Spears. And of course, they would all egg me on. And it's funny because people will still ask for it. And, I'm 40 now. So I feel like, I had to retire the Britney Spears. So, but yes, I definitely knew how to draw a crowd with the Britney Spears. And the Sonic the Hedgehog, give me a Red Bull or any energy drink. I'm a pretty high functioning person as it is. But, that was kind of how I'd get everyone pumped up before big games. And I'm really, really fast. I don't know that is still true today. But I was really, really, really quick, like that, not long distance, but short distance. I was pretty quick and able to get away from most people. So I got the nickname Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, I'm sure you bring that to your team now, the motivational aspects and, get the Britney Spears going, give you a Red Bull before you get in the court. I get it. I think the last time I saw the Britney Spears was at Tim and Aaron's wedding. I think they convinced me to do that.
I think that might be my last full Britney Spears performance. Yeah, that might have been the last. I think I've done a few, snippets here and there, but it just doesn't look as good at 40 as it did at 27.
we'll have to go back and see if Tim and Aaron have the tape of their wedding.
Oh,
we'll throw that in over the top.
Oh Lord. Whew.
All right, so let's talk more about what you're doing now. So you said going to law school. It's fascinating to see what you're doing in that arena, and I think, like you said, to be a parent, to be a wife, to be able to help families navigate a lot of the different things that they're going through in relationships. So talk to me a little bit about the firm overall, and then Custody Queens. Like you said, I know there's 2 different brands. So I'm interested to hear just more about those in general.
So Holstrom Block and Park is our main, I guess, dad firm. My dad started that in 1990. So I've worked for my dad off and on since I was 16, which is about 25 years, give or take. He'll say he fired me once or twice. I'll say I quit once or twice, little difference of opinions there. But I have worked for him for a really long time. So I literally started almost as, a janitor, kind of cleaning around the office. I started making envelopes, answering phone calls. I used to do personal service runs. My dad would send me to, I think I served someone at the graveyard one time, but I definitely have earned my keep, so to speak. And I truly started from the bottom. So we have about 100 employees. We have 7 offices throughout Southern California, all the way from LA, which is the top of Southern California, all the way down to San Diego, which is the tip of Southern California. And we have 25 attorneys, and we have about 17 certified family law specialists, which is a title given to someone that takes an additional bar exam. And that's the highest level of an attorney that you can be in the state of California. It's someone that's really knows their stuff, per se. You have to take another bar exam in California, which is not fun, but it's a title that you have to really work for. So I'm proud to have that. I remember studying for the specialist exam with a 2-month-old at a, bounce house, I call them, those indoor play things, when I was nursing my 2-month-old and he was nap, and I'm writing note cards and I'm watching my then 3-year-old, run around, and it was just me and my husband was doing something else. And I remember, this is multitasking. And that's just something you learn as a working parent. You have to learn how to balance it all. And that's a struggle that I have had, or not a struggle, a challenge that I have learned to deal with over the years. And people always ask me, how do you do it all? And my answer is always the same. It's, you never do it all at the same exact time. Things have highs and lows. And when I'm doing the best job as an attorney possible, other things in my life are definitely taking a little bit of a backseat. I try not to, my family always comes first, no matter what, but I have a lot of help. I have family. My husband is absolutely amazing help to me and the kids. I mean, he does drop-offs and pickups for me. I have 2 assistants that kind of help do gymnastics and soccer. And I have a full team that just really kind of helps keep my head on straight. And I say that I would lose it if it wasn't attached. But that, to me, you can't have it all. You just have to have the expectation and understanding that it's hard to have it all at once. And you just have to know that. And I'm sure you know that. You got a crew over there with your wife, and you got a successful career.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we're very much in the same boat where, we had all 3 of them at soccer at one time for a few months there.
I dread that day. I don't know how you guys do it. It's going to be a challenge.
We had our oldest, we had our boy in, and then we went to the first tournament, and both our girls said, we want to play soccer. And we're like, we support you. This is great.
It's a blessing and a curse to have really athletic kids, I've learned, because my daughter is good at everything she tries. And I kind of wish, I'll take her to gymnastics. She makes the team. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll do this because it's COVID and this is still functional because they can do it. It's smaller. And then she just made her first club soccer team. And I have to go back to the gymnastics coach and say, can you work with me on the schedule? Because she's going to have to miss something here and there. And, they've all been very helpful, but I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we only have 2 right now. Thank goodness my youngest is only 11 months old right now. So when we have 3, I'm not sure what I'm going to do.
I understand. Well, Kristen, let me wrap. I'm gonna give you one. This is not prepared, so if you need a second to think about it, but just your best story, your best memory from your time at the university. I always like hearing just that one shining moment or one memory that really sticks out for you.
Well, one of my best memory was when we won correct me if I'm wrong, we won our division. That's right? I think it was conference. There you go. I'm not sure exactly what the lingo is anymore. And I had an assist, and I think it was to Merritt or Trina. I can't remember which one. It was one of the beautiful Norwegian girls. I think it was Merritt. And it was down in Fort Lauderdale. It was FSU. My parents had come down, and I think it was raining, borderline hurricane level. And my mom was in the car with the heat warmer, the heat on, watching from the car. My dad was running down the sidelines. My siblings were there too. And that was year that we had won the conference. And I think we played FSU, if I'm correct, in the first round and got our booties kicked. But it to me, that was such an amazing memory because I know how hard we had worked to get there and how many 120 sprints we had done and how many lunges across the field and how many sacrifices a Division I player gives up in the college years. And I will tell you, when I get a resume from an athlete, any sport, I will almost hire them immediately because I know the level of commitment and discipline And with Custody Queens, the brand, I have a partner named Samantha McBride, and she's been with me for 7 years. And she came to me to interview before she was even an attorney. And this 6 foot, tall blonde girl, and she had no experience at all. And she came to me, and I talked to her, and I looked at her resume, and it said she was a Division I soccer player at University of California, Riverside. And I didn't even look at the rest of her resume, and I hired her. And she asked me not too long after, she said, "Why did you hire me? I had no experience. I was waiting for my bar results." And I said, "Because you played college soccer." And she says, "Okay." I said, "So did I." And I know how much commitment and discipline and work ethic goes into playing a college sport and graduating on time and academically and balancing it all. And that hire turns out to be one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, because she's my other half, the other custody queen. But I think anyone that has the opportunity to play a college sport they're so incredibly lucky. I had a brother that got to play at University or Penn State. He got to play 4 years of ice hockey over there. I had another brother that played hockey at ASU. And I think you're so lucky to have that opportunity, because it's such an amazing experience, and winning that conference will be in me forever.
That is fantastic, Kristen. That's a great way to wrap it up. So thank you again for zooming in early on a Monday morning for us today, recording. And we always offer it up. Anytime you're back in town, please let us know. We'd love to have you live on the show. Again, thank you to Kristen Holstrom, JU women's soccer alum, for joining me today on Dolphin Tales.
Thanks for having me, Pat. And a couple of my old teammates and I were just talking about Facebook about setting a reunion. So we'll have to, I would love to be on live, because I need to get my kids back there and see what JU is now, because I'm sure it's probably unrecognizable. But I thank you for having me. This has been awesome.